Pleasant good morning to everyone, and welcome once again to another edition of the Carlos Brown Show. Heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Today's guest menu simply looks like this. He's the head football coach at St. James High School in Louisiana. A former Southern offensive lineman, Coach Robert Valdez. He'll stop by, talk with us at about 10:20 on today's show. It will be an interesting conversation. Of course, Jaquan is a Southern University signee, so who better to tell us about this student athlete than his head football coach? Then, in hour number 2, we'll visit with the coach, Coach Van Pettaway, here on today's Carlos Brown Show. And then following Coach Van Pettaway will be Charles Edmond, our usual guest from the Alcorn State Radio Network. Here's simply what's trending on today's show. The Southwestern Athletic Conference, better known as the SWAC, announces men's and women's basketball tournament format changes. Also, National Signing Day has come and gone. Did you get wants? Did you fulfill your needs? That's what you have to do no matter what sport. Needs and wants. That's what you got to have. Also, big potential news, and it's not official yet. And I said yet, but according to my sources, Alcorn State is right now considering opting out of the 2021 spring football season, and that has sent social media in a uproar. It has sent conversations all over the place. The defending back-to-back Southwestern Athletic Conference football champions, are they going to go the spring football season? I'll give you what I know about this situation. And, of course, we will visit with Charles Edmond. And coming on today's show, let's see what he has to say about that, and we'll get your opinion on Alcorn State considering opting out of the spring 2021 football season. Now, nothing official has come forth from Alcorn State University. So, that's simply what's trending on today's show. Guest menu, Coach Robert Valdez, St. James High School. Coach Van Pettaway, Charles Edmond. Remember, you can interact with this show, the Carlos Brown Show, on Facebook. I have Facebook Messenger open. A lot of people like to send messages, comments, questions via that route. Also, the email address, the Carlos Brown Show at gmail.com. Also on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Google Play. And, of course, you can always listen to the replay of this show. It's live right now. And then also, don't forget, donations are always accepted via Cash App, the Carlos Brown Show. And that's, of course, 24/7. You can do that. Well, last week, Southern University basketball, coming off of, on the men's side, coming off just a heartbreaking loss to Alabama State on the last second shot. They were angry. Mentally, they were focused. And last Saturday, and I must admit, I am always brutally honest with my opinions. The game worried me. Would the Jaguars be mentally sharp? Would they be ready for a rival, Alcorn State? Boy, were they. From the start to the finish, no lapse in between. Maybe one then. They defeated Alcorn State 76-59. It wasn't even close. And as a Southern alum, I just sat back. I don't light up a victory cigar, but I was able to really enjoy that victory, if you get my drift. And they took care of business. Also, on the women's side, a tougher ball game, but they defeated Alcorn State 57-51. So you go on the road, both basketball teams, they get a sweep, they get the win, and you're definitely happy about that. When we visit with Coach Van Pettaway, we'll get his thoughts on all of the Southwestern Athletic Conference basketball play coming up today. Now, it has been brought to my attention, of course, that Texas Southern and Prairie View on the men's side, I knew about that, was postponed. But now I was informed right before showtime that on the women's side now, that game is postponed. Let me say good morning to Dr. Prince. Dr. Prince, is that correct, sir?
Absolutely. Good morning to you. It is correct. Both games have been postponed until further notice, my man. Is right.
Yeah, big rivalry. You want to get that game in, and boy,
man, you talking about
that's the norm now. I guess
it's the norm. But you talking about throwing my weekend off, man. Gee willikers. I mean, I was set. Prairie View, Texas Southern Saturday, Super Bowl Sunday, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be real good. And got bum.
Yeah, well,
no game.
It's about making adjustments one way or the other.
Absolutely.
One way or the other.
Now, I can kind of put a twist on this thing, It was just, intervention for the Panthers slowing down that throttle over the weekend. They said, yeah, hold back. We need to rest up, give the people a chance to catch up.
Well, I would
trying
have
to make some sense out of all this madness.
Well, and I'll just say this: Prairie View on the men's side, I would have them ranked number one
Say
right
what?
now.
Hold on. Hold on. Let me get the recorder set up.
Well, okay. Actually, it is recording right now.
So, hold on. I want to make sure I get this. Say that again.
Yes, Prairie View, I would rate them the best team on the men's side right now, as of today, 7 minutes after 10 Central Standard Time. However, Southern men's basketball team, they're playing very well, but we have to give credit where credit is due. And Prairie View has been the most consistent team on the men's side, and the record proves that.
Wow.
So it's the bullseye now is squarely on Prairie View and the men's basketball team.
But technically, had it ever been removed? I know what the
well, no, I mean they're back to back.
Right.
What champion? So the cliche is they're number one until someone takes that away from them.
Well, they're number one in theory because they were selected number 3. And I think that's kind of the silent motivator that Coach Smith has been using.
Wait a minute. Selected number 3 in preseason?
Yeah.
Before the season started? What, really?
Yeah.
Go back and look. What?
Yeah, you need to go back and look. Remember, they had Texas Southern, then Prairie View.
Yeah, well, I don't agree.
Oh, man, you got selective amnesia.
No, I don't agree with that. And again, prognostications, that's what they are for, to bring excitement.
It's to bring
but it is what? But it is not played in the press. It is not played in the paper. It is not played between discussions between, alums and supporters of the teams. It is on the court.
Absolutely.
And so, look, give credit where credit is due. And the expectations are high.
Yes.
I believe Prairie View alums and fans expect basketball. They have high expectations, and they should.
Well, shouldn't you have high expectations in all your sports?
Yes, I would agree with that. And that's why I said last week that Prairie View's basketball team is the best program, or one of the best programs, if not debatable, on the campus.
Well,
bowling, tennis, golf, pretty good.
If you were to go in your top 5 as far as results on their canvas or courts or whatnot, you would have to put basketball, bowling, golf, and what's that? That's 3. I'm going to say softball marginally because they've been competitive. They won the championship in 18, the tournament at least. And then I guess my number 5. Did I say golf?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't count it twice.
I can't count men and women's. I just got to count it as one. Wow. Volleyball of late has made a resurgence. So I guess in that order. And then I guess 6 would be football. And football is not a hard measure, but it's a more strict measure because you don't have as many opportunities to right your wrongs. You get 1 week in between games. You have 11 games max, and a good year 12. So you got a lot of ground to make up. You can gain a lot or lose a lot on the football side of things.
Well, we've had a listener, Jack. We appreciate you. Jack is a basketball guru. That's what I simply call him. But interesting point he wants to make. I think Prairie View men are the best team and playing the best ball. But
I knew a but was coming.
I think Southern has the most talented team with a high window for improvement by the end of the year.
And my response to Brother Jack is this. Hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's
yeah.
A good one. I'm going to have to make a note.
Put an asterisk by that one, my friend.
Well, and speaking of basketball, and as you can tell, there's a possibility that it could be a showdown.
Uh-oh.
Through the regular season and through the SWAC basketball tournament. The Southwestern Athletic Conference has announced updated formats for upcoming Cricket Wireless SWAC men's and women's basketball tournaments. And just be patient with me here. Take it in the spirit that is given. The quarterfinal round schedule of games initially slated to be held at the home facility of the respected higher-seeded teams have been moved to Bartow Arena, located in downtown Birmingham. Over the course of the past several weeks, and here's a quote from the commissioner, Dr. Charles McClellan, over the course of the past several weeks, we've had extensive discussion with our membership related to the hosting of our upcoming SWAC men's and women's basketball tournament. Upon the conclusion of those discussions, we've determined that moving the tournaments to one central location is in the best interest of the health and safety of our student athletes and team staffs. Having these events in one centralized location gives us the ability to ensure that we meet all COVID-19 protocols and guidelines related to hosting athletic events in this current climate, quote, end quote. So there you have it in Birmingham, downtown. And so as the rest of the season plays out, you will, instead of now hosting the quarterfinals, you'll be in Birmingham. So I think it's a good move.
I love the move, and it's a move that should remain that way, regardless of COVID or not. And the reason I say that because you're talking about looking out for the well-being of your conference schools. If you know that you're on the bubble and you're on the road, and you got to contemplate on setting reservations on if I'm traveling from one place to the other and I'm going to have to go here and go there. If I know I'm on the road, if I win, then we're going to Birmingham. Then there's one less thing you have to worry about as an administrative team of getting your team riled up and ready to go to the next adventure. Do it like that and let it go. I understand and appreciate the concept of rewarding the top 4 seeds of hosting the game. But let's be honest, man, the people are not coming out in droves like you would want them to make any significant money on hosting those games. So just let them all meet at the central location and get the tournament on.
Well, I'm for that during this pandemic, and I mean, actually, this pandemic is going to run a while. I don't think it's a permanent solution, but I think that's what you're saying.
Yes.
Keep it that way. And I don't know. I don't know. It's a reward. And I remember when this announcement was first announced a few years ago, me and Charles Edmond had a debate on the air about playing those quarterfinal games at home. But I think it's a reward for the regular season participants, especially, of course, the regular season champion. So
yeah, it's a reward. It's a reward.
I'm for it now, but I would have to vote after this pandemic is over to go back to quarterfinals being hosted by the higher seeds.
Okay. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I understand. It's just my opinion on it. Just my opinion. Alcorn State considering opting out of spring football, and that has been a hot topic on social media.
Yes, sir.
In the news.
Yes, sir.
The sports news. And you look at some of the opinions and some of the opinions put forward by others. You go from some saying that, what the heck are they doing? Why would they do that? I'll just say this. There are some internal issues going on at Alcorn State University, and one of those issues really had the players, from my understanding, led by Felix Harper, to request a meeting with athletic director Horn to express their opinion about just not feeling comfortable, not feeling safe about playing. And then you had a strength and conditioning coach hired, I think last week?
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't happy that after months having a strength and conditioning coach in. So they're behind the 8 ball. But then others, of course, say no excuse. You should still be able to play. But those student athletes, and it wouldn't be no game or games without them. So if they're not comfortable with the current internal situation, then they have that right to express that concern, and they have that right to choose not to participate. Now, from a conference standpoint, I'm sure and again, the commission in a quote basically said that they hadn't been contacted by Alcorn State of letting the conference know that they're going to opt out. But I believe at the end of the day, they're going to inform the conference that they're going to opt out of spring football season. That is
more than likely.
Yeah, that is just my opinion. That is not a fact. It's an opinion.
But that is a PR nightmare if you're in the conference office. The reason being because by far, and this is no diss toward anybody before I say what I'm about to say, when your sexiest ticket refuses to play or opts out to play, when everybody is making a big buzz that this is a time to shine and showcase the conference, and your sexiest ticket opts out, that could be a negotiating nightmare and flipping the advantage back to, in this case, ESPN. And they say, well, if your best team is not available on paper, then what's the point of us giving you all this bonus coverage?
That is something that has that's going to have to be discussed. Well, I'm pretty sure it's going to be discussed if it hasn't already been discussed.
Right. And at this juncture, if you've already spoke that you have reservations about playing, mentally you're not there anyway. So what would be the point even going further? Even to say, okay, we'll play, we'll do it.
Yeah, but student athletes.
Oh, no. I'm not debating it one way or the other.
Yeah, they're most important, and thus that's the crux of the matter. From a conference standpoint, yeah, I understand they've gotten some. Of course, it'd probably be headline on some games, Alcorn at Southern, Alcorn at Jackson State. Now, you would have to make an adjustment.
No doubt. And I'm pretty sure Jackson will say, bring it on. We'll take whatever extras y'all want to give us.
Well, I understand about that. But I will visit with Charles Edmond, and I'll give his take, his perspective on all of this. Again, this is not official that Alcorn State has opted out of the spring, but Football Scoop released a statement, an article, and then, of course, others released an article about the situation. I personally, and from the Carlos Brown Show, if Alcorn State makes an official announcement, then I will post that. But until then, just giving you just my perspective on it, it's going to be an interesting situation. I will take a time out right now, and when I come back, I'll visit with the first guest on the guest menu, Coach Robert Valdez. Now, St. James High School, a state championship in 2019, not last year, but a very outstanding high school program in the state of Louisiana. Also, Coach Valdez played for Southern University, offensive lineman. He played under the legendary Coach Pete Richardson. And he also knows Coach Eric Dooley. Once again, Louisiana, just a proud people. Proud. And you can see their influence throughout the conference. As I wink my eye, and you can't see that. And Southern University, arrogant and a cocky fan base, you're doggone right. That's the way they are, and just proud. So we'll visit with him, and you know what? At the end, I'll ask him about his Super Bowl prediction, and also when he played at Southern University, how well did Southern perform against Alcorn State and Jackson State during his time? Maybe that could be a lesson learned from a guy who played in a program that had high expectations, and even to this day, high expectations. I know some of you sitting back saying, what an arrogant son of a biscuit. Okay, I'll take a time out. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
You're listening to the Open Mic Broadcast Network, located in Prairie View, Texas, for news, sports, information, and inspiration 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the next 7 years of bigger and bigger enrollments, America's grade schools will need nearly 250,000 extra teachers, besides those to fill normal vacancies. This great need, plus the growing public interest in education and improvements in schools, make elementary school teaching a more rewarding career than ever, a career that high school and college students should certainly consider. Education holds America's future, perhaps your future.
Drivers and bicyclists both have the right to be on the road and travel safely. And when we're on the road together, safety is a shared responsibility. State law requires drivers to maintain at least 3 feet of clearance when passing bicyclists. And bicyclists should always ride with the direction of traffic and follow all traffic signals. It's safer. It's courteous. It's the law. A message from the Regional Planning Commission Pedestrian and Bicycle Program.
The station designed with you in mind, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas.
It's the Open Mic Tele-Network line. Dial 720-721-1558, and instantly at your fingertips, you'll have the latest local news, weather, and sports. Need a word of encouragement? Dial 720-721-1558. The Open Mic Tele-Network line features weekly prayer, verse of the week, and local ministries at your fingertips. Everything you need on demand. Dial 720-721-1558. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No internet, no problem. No Wi-Fi, no problem. No app, no problem. All you need to do is dial 720-721-1558 to listen now.
Broadcasters come into our lives on radio and TV, bringing us information and entertainment. Broadcasters are there for us, but who is there for them when they fall on hard times? The Broadcasters Foundation of America provides financial assistance to broadcasters in acute need due to a critical illness, accident, or other serious misfortune. If you know of a broadcaster on the air or behind the scenes who may need our help, please share our message. Visit broadcastersfoundation.org.
The voice of student athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Today's first guest, the head football coach of St. James High School in St. James Parish. Now, for many of you out there, we don't have counties, we have parishes. I'll give you the history behind that one day, but let me introduce Coach Robert Valdez. Coach, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning to you guys as well.
You doing okay?
I'm good. A little raining out here, and it's a good, cozy, ugly day, but I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, cold and chilly and more rain is on the way.
Right.
Coach, you played at Southern University, an offensive lineman.
Yes, sir.
Under the legendary Coach Pete Richardson, and you happen to also know another guy in the conference as a head coach right now, Coach Eric Dooley. Talk about your time at Southern University, then we'll get into the meat of the conversation with Jaquan Jones, who signed with Southern University this past Wednesday.
Oh, man, that was kind of great time. I mean, I think I like to say some of my best years of my life. Southern was a place that's always going to be dear to me. My wife graduated from Southern, and some of my best friends and lifelong relationships. And then playing football at Southern at what we consider to be basically the return of the program under Pete Richardson when he came in, and we won multiple SWAC championships and Black College National Championships, and just wonderful times, and just something that I'm very, very proud of.
And your time, as we talked yesterday, setting up this interview, you talked about the game day experience and the expectations coming into the program. Talk a little bit about that, those glory days.
That was awesome. I tell you, it was just, you just loved it. It was euphoric. We didn't have no college game day ESPN thing back in the day. You just knew that when you got there was going to be all of the trailers and the Winnebagos and lined in a parking lot with a bunch of people and the excitement and the pride of not only the community but the state, and people just coming from all over to watch Jaguar football. And we had a magical season my freshman year in 1993. We made a great run, and we won the SWAC championships in the Black College National Championship. I just remember, walking into a stadium that was just full in pregame. I remember going to Jackson State, and in pregame in Memorial Stadium, it'd be packed, and you're out there in pregame and getting it in. And it was great football. It was great competitive football, and so just a lot of great things that I tell my kids, and not only my own children but other kids. You have to witness it. You have to experience it because it was very, very fulfilling.
Very fulfilling indeed. I'm visiting with Coach Robert Valdez, head football coach at St. James High School. Jaquan Jones. I was practicing on that name. Did I get it right, Coach?
You got it.
Okay.
You got it.
Jaquan Jones. All-state selection, a lot of accolades. What is Southern getting in Jaquan Jones?
They're getting a mobile lineman. They're getting a kid that's been playing the spread system, which is somewhat similar. Like I said, I like to believe to what they are going to continue to do. They're going to probably most likely move him to guard because of his mobility, and he can move very well. Long-arm kid, understands zone concepts and defenses and things like that. It's nasty, likes to lock on and finish blocks. Has a great highlight from, if you get a chance to watch it. So it's exciting just because it depends on what your philosophy is with the offense. He's a tall, rangy kid that can move well and to be able to play with a lot of speed.
Coach, about 263, 260-ish?
Yeah, about 260. It doesn't look that big, but carries it well. And has, capacity to be able to put on 20, 30 more pounds and not really, be too big or whatnot. But tall, slender type of kid that can really move.
Coach, what do you think is you've talked about him so far, but if you had to pencil one thing about him that stands out, what would that be?
Basically, he just plays nasty. We talk about that all the time.
He's got a mean streak.
He has a mean streak. He plays nasty, plays to the whistle. Sometimes you have to, I always tell my kids I'd rather tell a horse to whoa than giddy up. And he's one that's, so he just plays that chip on the shoulder and things like that. And so, of course, like everything else, he's going to have to, adjust to the speed of the game at the next level and get stronger and be able to play with better pad level. But, in terms of the tenacity and the grit, he's got that.
Coach, is it the biggest jump that they have to get acclimated from going from high school to college per se, than college going to the next level, the pro level? But is it the biggest adjustment from high school senior to that first year of college?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that especially when kids get into that real college regiment, when you start talking about the early morning, workouts, you start talking about the structured class schedules, the training room, the film sessions, the practices, your study halls, and all that. So outside of just the speed and the strength of the game, there's a lot of, other factors that kids will have to get adjusted to being so regimented. But when you start talking about the speed of the game now, when you start talking about game week, when you have to get so much information and your blitz pickups and your packages and your schemes and your adjustments, and then you're going against some guys that are very athletic and very strong, that right there is a big difference between high school and college ball.
Do you think, and I've often said, and when you were at Southern University under the legendary Coach Pete Richardson, I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the freshman class that came in because of have to get acclimated, a lot of them were redshirted. Is that something that you would advocate to your players going to the next level, or do you believe that if you're good enough to make first, second team unit,
Right.
you should play? What's your stance on that?
Well, I think that you got to individualize it a little bit to a certain degree, and you have to kind of know your kids. You have to know your players. So like a Savion Jones, his cousin, who's going to LSU, I'm telling Savion Jones, hey, let's get ready to go in right now, play right now. Mm-hmm. Let's play right now. Let's go out there and play right now. Jaquan, I'm basically the advice I'm giving to him, because it's a new offense, new scheme, and I'm pretty sure that Southern has a lot of returning players. Yep. Let's get in there right now. Let's work hard. Let's learn, and let's try to learn as much as possible. If the rest year comes to you, then embrace it, but do not stop trying to learn and get better, because it's two different positions. I think you have to customize it a little bit to the position players, and I think offensive line is a big disparity, because it's just the grind of an offensive line, and the requirements, especially in the interior, may take a little time to kind of get used to, rather than playing a defensive position where you already are at the athletic and the physical prowess to be able to maintain and handle that and still be successful. You have to kind of customize it to the player.
Yeah, well, you know what? If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were a head football coach. Excellent advice. I'm visiting with Coach Robert Valdez, head football coach at St. James High School. Now, there's another young man that will be playing at Southern University, and once again, just like when we talked earlier, I can't remember his name, but I know he's a running back from St. James. You'll help me out. I mean, he's a tremendous athlete as well.
Yes. You're talking about Sean LaBeouf. We call him DJ. I mean, and Sean came to me and played from freshman all the way to senior, and I'm just proud of this kid because he's not the biggest, but you can't tell him that. I mean, DJ, I would like to call him DJ, but his name's Sean. But this kid will run through a wall and come right back and actually got another one. He's a tough, gritty kid. He's very confident, extreme hard worker, and it's just somebody that kids are going to gravitate just because of just how he goes about playing. And we talk about being unapologetic and with our approach and the things that we do. We don't want to brag. We just want to go out there. We're not going to say we're sorry for punching you in the mouth. And he's just that type of guy. He plays that running back position like a defensive tackle mentality. So, like I said, they're going to get a tough, gritty football player. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun watching these kids play because, we got a friend on the line that's, the Panther Nation and all that. So I got to plug my defensive tackle from Prairie View, and then Jason Dumas, who's just a monster. He's a monster. I just want you to know that's mine. So
another Louisiana influence.
I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to jump in and say thank you very much, Coach, but more than likely he'll stay in Texas.
Well, no, hey, look, and I'm good with that. I'm really good with that because we want to branch our kids out and give them opportunities, but, it'll be wonderful if I could ever just go watch and see all of them on the field,
Well, Coach, I often talk about that Louisiana pride, and good things come from Louisiana, and the influence is throughout the whole conference. So, Dr. Prince, take that one. I like to go back and forth with Dr. Prince on those connections there. Visiting with Coach Robert Valdez, head football coach at St. James High School. Coach, your team, St. James, 2019, a state championship.
Yes,
and always in the playoffs. Last year, making it to the playoffs, not a championship. Right. But formerly you were at West St. John High School, Scotlandville High School, now at St. James. Your program, you've done, if I can say so, an outstanding job.
Oh, thank you. We just, I guess for me, it's fun because it's just, we talk about just trying to do the little things. And, we had a great run at West St. John. And and then had a lot of fun at Scotlandville. I was there. Scotlandville went 10-2 for a year, and then the job at St. James. I live in St. James Parish, and my wife works here, my daughter. So it was basically, getting back close to family and all that. But we've had a great run at St. James High School, and have a lot of great kids, have some great talent, got great coaches, and tremendous administrative support. And we're just having fun, trying to get to Friday nights and just, let the chips fall where they may. And I tell you, what we tell people all the time, that if you didn't know you were playing St. James, you'll know after the game because you'll feel it on the way home. But so that's how we like to play the game.
Well, Coach, when we were setting up this interview, I told you we have alums listening from throughout the conference.
Mm-hmm.
And one listener says, tell Coach to send his best to the reservation. And you can tell who that is, Alcorn State.
Yeah.
I'll follow. And guess what? We'll put a fence around St. James Parish. But Coach, tell those about, it's on the river parish.
Yes.
Sugar cane. It's
right.
Very enthusiasm at those games. Kind of walk us through game day / game night in St. James High School football game.
Well, we like to call it beautiful downtown Vacherie, and the beautiful downtown Vacherie part of it is we built a brand new school a couple of years ago. So our facilities are very, very good. It's probably some of the best in the state of Louisiana. On a game day, pre-COVID, you're going to see a college-like atmosphere. You're going to see, we have a great community base. And it's a love affair with the community, the St. James graduates and the community of St. James on the West Bank, the Vacherie community, and St. James football. These Wildcat Nation, they come out and they're tailgating. It's almost like a SWAC game. They're tailgating, and we got the boiled foods, we got the barbecue, we got the jambalaya and the fried fish and all that. So if you come to a game, you don't have to even come hungry. I have to discipline myself because I stay in the field house. I don't go out because I'm like, no, don't do it. You got a game coach. So I have to punish myself and not allow myself to go partake in the pregame festivities. Like I said, and then, it's a lot of energy. Last year, and I may say this, 2 years ago in 2019, we had the pleasure of having Southern University's band come and perform. We played our biggest rival, Lutcher High School. And man, I tell you, it was so much energy in the stadium. I think it was just like, it was electric. It had to rain. It just had to rain because we had to calm it down a little bit. But we ended up winning. But no, it's just great high school, small town football. Where, everybody knows what's going on. And that was the thing that was attractive here. Everybody knows what's going on when those lights come on. And it's small town football, and it's a lot of fanfare, a lot of passion. And our kids understand that, playing football for St. James can create opportunities for them to do separate other things and whatnot. So it's basically is a pride, it's a passion. And so when you come down, you're going to get our best.
I'm visiting with Coach Robert Valdez, head football coach at St. James High School. A listener says, I see St. James is playing Carr this year.
Yeah.
Carr?
Yeah.
Oh
yes,
my.
Yeah.
Don't run away from the competition there, huh?
No. I think that if my career schedule would be a whole lot prettier if I just play who I was supposed to. But what we want to do is we want to expose our kids to the best, and we want to line up and play the best. And I believe in iron sharpens iron. So therefore, Coach Brown does a great job. I'm somebody that I'm very close to at Carr, and we talked about it, and and I said, hey man, so he's like, let's do it. And so we're excited. We're excited to play them. We're excited to line up and match with. And our kids, when we released the schedule, they were they all came. Oh man, we're playing them. Not that was like it's refreshing because kids were raised to whatever challenges and expectations you set for them. I think that, like I said, my late father-in-law said, parents, the kids haven't changed. Parents have changed. Kids will still do what it is that you set the standard for them to do. And you just have And so that's how we built our program. And we're gonna line up and we're gonna play these teams. We're playing 5A Terrebonne High School, 5A East St. John High School, 4A Assumption High School, and then 4A State Power Car, and that's all our pre-district games. So, like I said, once we get through that gauntlet, and then we get to district, at some point, the game slows down, and then the conference level, and then execution and all those things pick up. So, I just don't believe in. You have to make your kids better. How you make your kids better? You play tough competition.
Coach, I almost want to ask you: is there a collegiate head coaching going on to the next level as an assistant, and then going to a head football coach? But I guess I won't ask you that. But I'll come back. I'll come back to that. How about that, Coach?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Because I still want to now go down back to the past. Alcorn State, Jackson State. When I mention those two teams, what comes to mind?
I'll tell you what. I don't want to sound, just so bad to my Mississippi folks and all. I just have bad memories. That's what comes to mind from my Southern days. We lost to Jackson State in '95, I believe. That's the only game we lost, and we won the Black College National Championship. Really didn't lose, but there was a bogus non-touchdown call down there.
The phantom call.
I have it. And then I was a member of the Sphinx Jinx with McNair, man, when he broke the record and he just drew up a Hail Mary, and one of our guys must have lost it in the sun, and they scored and won the game. That's when he broke the NCAA record.
Was that at Alcorn, right?
It was at Alcorn, yes, sir.
Okay.
It was at Alcorn. Yeah, it was on ESPN, and but we did beat them the year before in the most electric game in Southern University history.
Oh, I remember that. I actually remember both, but we'll talk about the win first.
That's what my guy, my buddy Kenyatta Sparks, man, who went to Oak Prairie Walk College Preparatory High School. I say it like that every time. Returned the kickoff back for a touchdown and just totally broke Alcorn's back, and we were able to win that game. And it was just probably one of the most electric atmospheres at Mumford Stadium. And I was a freshman. But we've had some good success with both Jackson State and Alcorn. I mean, like right now that Coach McNair has it going. I mean, they're a machine. They're doing a good job. When I watch them play, I'm like, how do they get all these tall, slender-looking guys? Like they just look like clones, but they're doing a great job recruiting, and they have the SWAC on a gridlock right now. And then, of course, we got the whole Jackson State, and the Coach Sanders is Coach Sanders. A traditionalist, you always call the coach and the last name, so it's Coach Sanders. I'm not buying into the nickname moniker, but it's Coach Sanders at Jackson State University, which bringing a lot of energy and excitement and basically media exposure to the SWAC. So that's going to be exciting.
Oh, exciting! I'm trying. Last week I asked Dr. Scott, could I lead the team out against Jackson State at home, and afterwards I'll go straight. Although I'm in better conditioning now, I'll go straight to the medical tent and do the proper protocol there. But when I tell you that to me, because their fan bases are just alike, cocky, arrogant. They believe in showing up at the other team's facilities, stadium. It has always been just, a special game to me.
You said something because it's funny because I go to Southern games and I go to when we play J-State, but I'm like, man, we get more people to travel to Jackson than we get to come to Baton Rouge.
Well, yeah. Bigger stadium, 1, 2. It's like Southern fan base is like it's Sunday, and you're invited over to someone's house for a night, dinner, and they're coming dressed to the T. They take pride in taking over the other opponent's stadium, at least try to. But now you need that same excitement at home, and that's kind of been lost. And just in my opinion, at home, but you still have homecoming when Jackson State comes, all corn. But it's still not up to it's not up to when you guys were playing, and in the 90s, in the 2000s. And I don't know if it'll ever get back to that, but I have a theory. Championships. 2, 3, 4 in a row, maybe. I don't know. It's tough, but maybe I'm living a pipe dream. I don't know.
Those always work.
Well, yeah, a theory. Now back to, and I appreciate the time visiting with Coach Robert Valdez, head football coach, St. James High School. Could we see a Coach Valdez coaching at the next level? Is that even a dream of yours or a goal?
It is. It is. I don't shy away from it. It would be great. I think that timing and proximity, would play a factor. I have a daughter who's a junior who's going to graduate from high school next year. So, but that would be an opportunity. It would have to be an opportunity, something that makes sense. Nothing that to rush into. I believe I have the best high school job in the state of Louisiana at St. James High School. So it's no reason to just walk away unless it's something that just totally makes sense and it's probably, the best thing for me and my family. But, if those things happen, then sit down and we do what we do. We sit as a circle and make the decision as a whole.
Yeah, I understand that. I really do. Visiting with Coach Robert Valdez, head football coach, St. James High School. Big game tomorrow, Coach. Who you have? Who you have in that game?
Listen, I'm gonna say it like this, and I love what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing. I love the Patrick Mahomes, the Derek Bieniemy, the Tyrann Mathieu, all of those things. Like I said, you forgot Williams is a running back that used to be at LSU as well. He's from John Everett High School. So I just think that that the Chiefs just have something that's so special right now in the way they play the game and the speed, and they have so much fun offensively and the weapons and how Mahomes play. I get the whole Brady GOAT thing and all that. That's fine and dandy. But I think that Tampa Bay's defense has been carrying them all year. I don't think that it's just that he's just been that that great of an impact. Their defense is solid, but I don't know if their defense has played anyone that's gonna basically challenge them. See, when you play the Chiefs, you have to defend 53 yards in a quarter sideways and 120 yards north and south.
Yeah,
they're gonna find every square inch of the field to get their guys. And when Andy Reid called with a backup quarterback on 4th and game, and he called a sprint out with a speed out pattern to Tyreek Hill, who does that? So I just think that the confidence that they're playing, the speed that they're playing, is really going to test that really good Tampa Bay defense. A lot of people, like to, you want to hit the headline and all that, but if you really kind of watch the game, it's Tampa Bay's defense that's really, really playing lights out. And they're doing it with some backups. They're doing it with some reserves. And Ty Bowles is really, really, one of the best in the business. And these gentlemen need to be recognized. But I just think that it's going to be different than, you're going to face a mobile quarterback. You're going to face a guy that can make crazy throws. You're going to face receivers that, you can't, I don't know what to play against them. If you're going to play a man, you're going to play them zone, or because you play zone, then you're going to give the quarterback windows and lanes, and he can scramble and make those plays. You can't blitz him because you're going to displace and then create matchup opportunities. So I just think that the Chiefs have a lot going on, and I think that they're probably playing, the better football, right now.
Well, great analysis. I would use the word contain.
Yes.
And that's a term you don't use loosely there, but wow, it's my goodness, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, we appreciate spending some time with us on a Saturday morning here. We look forward to talking with you again real soon. Best of luck and wishes on the football season upcoming for St. James High School, and have a great weekend. We'll talk again real soon.
Appreciate you guys. Thank y'all, man. Stay safe.
All right. You too, as well. All right. That was Coach Robert Valdez, head football coach at St. James High School here in St. James Parish in Louisiana. And it is a treat, literally a treat, an affair to go to a football game at St. James High School. And we kind of asked Coach about, coaching on the next level, his days at Southern University. We even got to talk about Jaquan Jones, 6'3", 260, a tremendous upside. Let's see, I think I had a couple of messages. Listener Marlon says, Carlos, I think it's a combination of factors. And we did even get some conversation on the red shirt. Holly says the new 4-game red shirt rule is good for playing to get a taste. That's right, because you can play up to 4 games. That is absolutely correct. Before you decide if you want to red shirt that player. So with that being said, I think a lot of institutions have taken advantage of that rule. And I definitely remember Coach Richardson would pretty much redshirt his whole entire class. Now, if you have 1 or 2 players that on the 2 deep depth chart, and the freshmen, they'll play. But now I don't know how football coaches now in the modern today's Southwestern Athletic Conference. Some coaches, if you're a freshman, you come in, you're good enough to play, you play. So, and redshirting the entire class now, I don't think you'll see that the entire class, but you will have some that are redshirt, and then the benefit is they'll be able to, of course, practice and get acclimated both on the field and off the field of college football. Coach talked about it's a big adjustment from your being a senior in high school, no matter what sport, and then moving up to that first year of college. Derek says transfer portal has changed the game. Yeah, that is true. And I'm sure some coaches are having scholarships to hold on to just for that. Just for that. What do you say, Dr. Brent?
It has changed the game, but not like people would think. I was just reading an article on the transfer portal has somewhat backfired. There was over 1,500 student athletes in the transfer portal, and 954 of them are still without a home. They think they think they're going to, the money is going to stay the money wherever you go. And there's a reason that these kids end up in the transfer portal. A, they're not as good as they thought they were, or B, they're not tough mentally as they thought they were, and they don't know how to deal with adversity. And I heard when the coach said that, when you set expectations for kids, and they'll adjust and get to them, but they have to have the same message at home, at the staff, whoever they're coaching them, and amongst themselves. And that's where the problem is. So, like you said, at four games for the red shirt, I think that's even more effective than the transfer portal, because you can take that time, sow a seed into some young men, see exactly what they have, put them in a couple of situations where you expect them to do well, and then put them in a game where you expect them to be challenged, and then you make your assessment on a program they need to develop to help your program move down the road.
Yeah. Now, in some cases, and I will admit, it's very minute. Example, a kid in a program, but say his grandmother raised him, and she's ill, and it's not looking good.
Right.
Sometimes in that example, they'll leave to get to a school that's closer to where he grew up and his grandmother.
And that's the case
also,
of Kincaid. I believe Kincaid was a case of that in that manner.
Yeah, and then I remember Doug Williams saying, if he got transfers in, he put them through the test. And just because you're transferring from a bigger school doesn't mean you automatically will come in and win a starting spot. So they had to vet those players. So and then you've got so many in the transfer portal, there's not spots. And then too, remember the NCAA gave a blanket year for seniors.
Right.
So
which further back.
I guess you need to look at your situation and I'll say this: it is still the best way to build a program, getting freshmen, and then they go through to their senior year, they get their degree, they improve as being a player on and off the field, and that's still the best way to go through the high school ranks and build it that way. But I understand transfer, grad students, what have you, they're transferring in, and it's gold. It's glitter. Everyone wants to do it now. And every institution has them in there. Derek says transfer portal has changed the game. Now you have to worry about them leaving in a heartbeat. I'm speaking on them redshirting. These kids don't play now, they leave.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.
Bye. If it has to be a reality check, and the higher you go, the greater the competition is going to get. And if you're not willing to compete and you want to run because you don't feel like you getting enough playing time, the answer to that is play harder, work harder. And if you want to leave because you feel like you're an entitled brat, bye. We don't need you at the program. But I guess that's too rigid these days. So I'd have to go to sensitivity training.
No, not necessarily. It's an opinion, different variables. I just stated, I still believe the best way to go is you get them in as freshmen and they matriculate, and then they're seniors, they get their degree, and in some cases they graduate early, and then they're grad students and they, play an extra year.
Yeah, it is, but it's all how the kid is recruited. Okay, if you go up there selling
I think you have to vet those people though, Dr. Prince. You just Power 5 schools. A lot of those kids are leaving from there. And did they consider HBCUs or smaller schools in the process?
But do you ask yourself, why are they leaving? Why are they leaving?
It could be multiple reasons.
It could be multiple reasons, and I hear the special case scenarios, and that's part of it. But a lot of these kids are leaving because they don't have the backbone to face the challenge that is ahead of them, and they want to go to the path of the least resistance. That's just the truth. Because if you thought you was all that and you went there, okay, then stick it out and prove that you do belong. Don't go there and because you thought your poop didn't stink, and then you realize that it stinks just like everybody else's, then you want to bail out. Then see, I have character issues with that. Why do you feel like, I'll never forget, there was a guy whose son was playing baseball, and he was an average to mediocre kid. He went away to play some baseball, and he said, well, Mike, do you think we can get him in at Prairie? I said, well, why do you think I want him at Prairie View? Hell, he couldn't make it where he went, and it was a lower division. I said, we don't need him. I take insult to that. That's just me.
Well, I understand, but I just don't want to paint a broad brush that everybody in the transfer portal is that way.
Well, no. I'm not saying they are.
I'm sure they are.
But to have 1,500,
but there are different variables to this.
To have 1,500 in the portal and 954 destined with no place to go, it speaks for itself. Those are.
I just think some of them, because they're not playing, they figure, hey, I'm out of there. I do think that happens quite a bit.
Okay, then. Well, once again, if you feel like you're supposed to be playing, work harder. Instead of crying, grind. That's all I'm saying. It don't work right. We work in the work world, right? And if it don't go right on the job, what you gonna quit and not feed your family, or you gonna work your way out that position? And that's my whole thing. Whenever you have a challenge, stop saying what ain't right and work your way and make it right, or make yourself available for the next available opportunity because you worked through situations and not ran from them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. If I was the head coach, I would take the other route. As I've stated now for the third time, I recruit a young lady, young man, depending on what sport I'm coaching, get those in, vet them, do my homework, do my research, and let them articulate through. And transfer a portal would not even be something that I would be interested in, to be honest with you.
Right.
Now, would I not take one? It'll be under certain circumstances. I'll do the vetting process. I'll look at why the young man, because I hear other people have said that, well, no, you stay there, you sign there, and you should stay there and don't give up, work hard. You're going to work hard regardless. I would just go the other route. That's just me if I was coaching, but I am not a coach.
You are a coach. You are a coach of philosophy and life.
But I know I need to do this. I need to take a time out and get Coach Pettaway lined up because, he could weigh in on this in the transfer portal. Also, I'm going to give you some of the names. Southern signed pretty much 7, and you also have a list that signed in early December. But what I'll do right now, quickly, I'll give you a couple of transfers that signed in. Jordan Woods, defensive tackle, 6'4", 275, transferred in from Florida International University at defensive tackle. Boy, the Southern needs interior defensive lineman. And then also Chandler Whitfield, a wide receiver, transferred in from ULM, but he comes out of the Zachary High School football program. He is a speed demon, 5'8", 165. Well, he transferred in. Why did he transfer? Was it not enough playing time? Was he homesick? Did he feel that it's a better situation for him at Southern University? I don't know. But I'll give you the rest of the names. But I'm going to take a time out. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
You're listening to the Open Mic Broadcast Network located in Prairie View, Texas for news, sports, information, and inspiration 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the next 7 years of bigger and bigger enrollments, America's grade schools will need nearly 250,000 extra teachers besides those to fill normal vacancies. This great need, plus the growing public interest in education and improvements in schools, make elementary school teaching a more rewarding career than ever, a career that high school and college students should certainly consider. Education holds America's future, perhaps your future.
Drivers and bicyclists both have the right to be on the road and travel safely. And when we're on the road together, safety is a shared responsibility. State law requires drivers to maintain at least 3 feet of clearance when passing bicyclists. And bicyclists should always ride with the direction of traffic and follow all traffic signals. It's safer. It's courteous. It's the law. A message from the Regional Planning Commission Pedestrian and Bicycle Program.
The station designed with you in mind. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas.
It's the Open Mic Tele-Network line. Dial 720-721-1558, and instantly at your fingertips, you have the latest local news, weather, and sports. Need a word of encouragement? Dial 720-721-1558. The Open Mic Tele-Network line features weekly prayer, verse of the week, and local ministries at your fingertips. Everything you need on demand. Dial 720-721-1558. 1558. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No internet, no problem. No Wi-Fi, no problem. No app, no problem. All you need to do is dial 720-721-1558 to listen now.
Broadcasters come into our lives on radio and TV, bringing us information and entertainment. Broadcasters are there for us, but who is there for them when they fall on hard times? The Broadcasters Foundation of America provides financial assistance to broadcasters in acute need due to a critical illness, accident, or other serious misfortune. If you know of a broadcaster on the air or behind the scenes who may need our help, please share our message. Visit broadcastersfoundation.org.
The voice of student athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
What is that music playing in the background? That's what I want to know. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coleman Brown Show here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. It's about to be some fire coming. I'm going to introduce my next guest. He's got his referee shirt on, and I don't know why we would need a referee shirt on. But we were talking about the transfer portal, and if I can do this, let me read this. Jack says let me back up. The transfer portal works for the Power 5 kids because somebody will always pick them up. The problem is the smaller school kids are being inadvertently advised to use this system. Good morning, Coach Pettaway, the iconic basketball figure / referee. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing fine, Carlos, and you all have really, man, you really sparked something in me when you started talking about that portal. Because if I was in the game, still in the game, on that sideline, I would have a big problem with that. I would definitely have a big problem with it.
Well, and Dr. Prince does too, and his adjectives of lazy, not willing to work, harsh, I can understand that. Just for the record, I said if I was coaching, I would not use that method. But there are circumstances and variables that I would. Let me be clear about that. And then when we were talking during the break, you said compassionate. What was it? Compassionate transfer?
Right. That's, yeah.
Yeah. Now,
there's a family issue. If there's a family issue and that kid needs to get close to home, that should be granted right away. Mm-hmm. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. But as a coach, my feeling on that is on transfers now. Yeah. I don't want a kid coming to my program holding the transfer portal over my head. In other words, the NC2A is giving these kids an easy out. You know, if you come into a school and there's some adversity, now adversity could be that the position that you're competing for on that team, they got some dogs in there, and you still a pup. So instead of you staying there fighting, you run by using the portal to get away from that. Whereas a coach, I don't want a kid that wouldn't fight at another school, because if you didn't fight there, you're not going to fight for me. And I think a lot of that has to do with the recruiting process. What are these coaches telling these recruits in the recruiting process? Very rarely should a coach commit to a kid that he's an automatic starter. If he's an automatic starter in your program, that means that without competing, that means that there's something wrong with your program. You don't have a very successful program. The kids need to come in and work. Work is what's going to get them to the next level. And when I say next level, I'm not talking about to the NBA in basketball. I'm talking about making that transition from high school to college, you are ready to play. Where you are ready to play. And then we might even need to go back to, because of the way the kids are these days.
Here it comes.
We might need to go back to where it used to be all freshmen had to be red shirts. That's really what they need to look at, because what's happening now, most kids now are not as tough as the older as the other kids from years ago, because they have so many options to do other things. They don't spend the time on their craft like they used to in the old days, because there was nothing else to do. You know, I'm talking about a kid back in the day. You leave the house at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. You don't come back until it gets dark, and you only coming back because it's dark, because you can't see to score the basket anymore. We didn't have lights then. So that kid is out playing all day, doing what he needs to do. Now, we don't have to do that, because I got my computer, I got my iPad, Xbox, Z-Box, and all these other boxes that they sit in the house and do things, and they're not working on their game. Now, that's not for everybody, because some of those kids play games or play the video games and still get their work in. But that other guy that's not getting the work in, the transfer portal is an easy out. And I think they're going to come back and get that because of what.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Coach. Do you see the transfer portal and just going back to where it used to be, where it won't be so easy to transfer?
Well, I think the NCAA is looking at a blanket transfer rule for everyone, where you can leave once during your career. So if they make that possible for everybody, you don't need the portal. You don't need the portal. But see, we have gone from some of the coaches from back in the day, we were talking about Don Chaney last week, right?
Chaney, yeah.
Coach Chaney. Could Coach Chaney coach today with the way these kids are now? He's not going to change.
No.
He has got to change.
He would have got fired, Coach.
See, that's the problem. He would tell the kids straight up, look, this is how I am. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have these 4:30 practices. We going to go to study hall. We're going to do it this way. We're going to be animals on the floor, but when we get off, we're going to be gentlemen. We will be gentlemen. And that's just the way he was. And so the kids bought into that. Everybody couldn't play for Coach Chaney.
That's true.
Just like everybody can't play for me, because I have certain expectations for my players and my program. You don't see some coaches want you to play hard. I demand that you play harder. You get your butt out of here.
Come on.
I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
That's just the way I am. That's just the way I coached it. I did have success in it. Now, was that the right way? It was the right way for me. It may not be that way for somebody else.
Well, I could play for you, Coach, back in the day, a younger, more in shape, Carlos, and I appreciate what you did. And
right, because we're more than just coaches. We're coaching life. We're not just coaching the game. We're coaching the game of life. So we got to develop the entire person, and that's what we tried to do. And in order for me to get that message across to them, I let them know. I take a practice. I said, fellas, you know why I want you here on practice on time? Because when you stop playing for me and you get out in the real world, you got to go to your job on time. And if that's already ingrained in you, that's one less thing that they're going to have to check against you, because you're going to show up on time. All right? You got to be accountable. These are the things that I want you to do. Well, when you leave me, when you get that job, your boss is going to give you things that you got to be able to produce or do to maintain that job. So guess what? Because you were able to do the things that we ask you to do here, you will be ready for that. So we're teaching them life lessons. We teach them not to give up.
And speaking of that, boy, what a way to segue into not give up. I laid out the scenario. Of course, I'm a Southern alum, and Southern's men's basketball team, disappointing loss to Alabama State on just a freakish putback.
Right.
Where was their mentality? That's what I was thinking. I was like, I wasn't confident. Let's see if this is the moment in the season that mentally they get after it. And guess what? 17-point victory on the road at Alcorn. What do you have to say about that, Coach?
Well, let me tell you something. I was so proud of them bouncing back the way they did, because you could have lost that team after that Bama State game. Well, after that road trip to Alabama, because you lost both games. You thought you had Alabama State until that shot comes in. That shot drops for them. But those kids, Coach Woods and his staff did an outstanding job of getting those kids to refocus and to play. I kept up with the game through sidearm the stats, and I saw how they really put it on Alcorn. That was a good win for them. But, this weekend will really tell the story. There are a lot of things that happened last weekend. A&M lost at home. Well, I thought they would play better. They just could not. They just did not put together the games. Playing away from home, like I thought they would. They played well at home. On the road, they just didn't get it done. They did not get it done. And I had an opportunity to watch their game against Prairie View. Prairie View by far is the best team in the SWAC when it comes to men's basketball.
I said that earlier, as painfully as I had to admit that.
No. But I said it after watching them play. You break down that team. They're second in the SWAC in scoring, 69 points a game. They're first in defense. They only give up 63 points a game. They shoot well from the free throw line. They're third in the SWAC at 71%. And then offensively, they are very efficient. They're first in the SWAC, 45% from the field. Mm-hmm. And then they just do an outstanding job on the defensive end of the floor. They bring so much pressure. Those kids look for ways to get away from them. A&M and Alabama State threw the ball away all weekend against that pressure. Now, the only thing that I have a concern with now, that's today, is because they have had to pause. That, I think, will hurt them because they had all kinds of momentum. And as a coach, when your team is putting it together, you want to keep playing. So now the test is going to come after they have to sit out. Can they reignite that fire? They got to be able to do it. One of the things that's going to help them, they don't have to rely on one person. They got 3 people in double digits. They got 2 other guys that are at 9 points. So that's almost 5 people that are in double digits, which means that as an opposing coach, you can't just concentrate on one person. See, Cam Mack leads them in scoring at 14 a game, but then you got Campbell, you got Daniel, you got Roberts and Williams. All of those guys can be the lead scorer on any night. So Prairie View is doing well on the men's side.
Well, 6-game winning streak, 6-0 in the conference. But guess what? There's some other teams that are hot as well.
Jackson State,
which comes to Baton Rouge Monday night, and that game is on ESPNU. Southern with just a meager 1-game winning streak. Grambling State, who's at Southern today, that game is on ESPNU. They're on a 2-game winning streak, 5-3, and then Texas Southern. Wow.
Well, they're off though.
Yeah, because of what happened. Right. But they won a 3-game winning streak.
Mm-hmm. So now that momentum that both Prairie View and Texas A&M has had, where is that going to leave their programs now that these games that they got to shut down? And I'm more concerned with Prairie View though. But today also now, Southern also has a big game today.
Yeah, Grambling State.
They got Grambling. That game's going to be on ESPN. So they're going to have 2 back-to-back games on ESPN. That's great for recruiting.
And go ahead.
Yeah. See, they picked up the game was supposed to be Texas Southern and Prairie View.
Right, but Texas Southern picked up Texas Rio Grande Valley or whatever it is tonight.
Okay. Well, good. Well, then they'll continue to play then. So that'll help their rhythm. That will help their rhythm. But Southern's in the spotlight. That's going to be my game of the week on the men's side.
Okay.
Southern and Grambling. And then, of course, on Monday is going to be the showdown now, because we're going to see where Jackson State stands. And Jackson State is second in the conference in defense. They lead the conference in free throw shooting. And we know defensively they get after people. But they got the leading scorer in the conference in Jackson at 20 points a game. And then he got McKinnis and Williams. Both of those guys are double-digit scorers, 13 and 12. So they're spreading their offense around. And then when it comes to half-court defense, Jackson State might have the best half-court defense in the SWAC. Prairie View has the best total defense. That's a combination of half-court and full-court pressure. Yeah. They do an outstanding job with that now. These are my kind of coaches. What Brand is doing and what Coach Smith is doing at Prairie View. Oh, and Coach Woods. See, Coach Woods is picking it up, too, picking up the pressure. And so it's a lot of exciting men's basketball.
Yeah. So you would say game of the week on the men's side, Southern and Grambling State. Now
for today now, but yeah. Monday is going to be Southern showdown between Southern and Jackson.
Yes, sir. Gotcha.
Uh-huh.
On the women's side, which team is impressing you so far? I mean, guess what? It's competitive on that side as well.
Man, you better know it. Alabama State is still rolling. Jackson State is still rolling. So, you know, that I'm going to tell you something. It could come down to that last weekend of the season on the women's side. And that's when when Alabama State has to play Jackson State. It could come down to the end of the week on the women's side. But they have also, I've been telling you all year about Alabama A&M. They're 3-1. They got a 3-game winning streak. Jackson State has a 6-game winning streak. Alabama State women have a 4-game winning streak. So see, it's on the women, and then Southern can't leave Southern out. They won their last 4. So yeah. That the Southern Grambling game on the women's side, that's going to be a great game today. And I look forward to these ladies just trying to finish strong. And everybody's chasing Alabama State. And Jackson State and Bama State, I think, is going to come down to that last weekend where you got Jackson State and Alabama A&M that's got to play Jackson. I think the women's championship will be determined. Conference champion will be determined that weekend.
And, Coach, it's interesting because Alabama State's lost to Southern at home. Yep. Then Southern goes to Jackson, and then they play Jackson State, and then it really wasn't even close. Is there something to be said about matchups?
Oh, yeah. There are always certain teams that you have matchup problems with. Mm-hmm. And then you took Jackson's only loss is to Bama State. So that's why these women, yeah, I'm serious. You see how that thing works out?
Yeah.
So they've got a lot to play for. The virus is undefeated. That's what's causing a lot of problems. That's why A&M's women haven't played enough games. So it's going to be very interesting, and it's going to be the team that can stay healthy, that can remain healthy and not pause the activities, because it's hard to start over again, especially in mid-season.
I'm visiting with Coach Van Pettaway, the Carlos Brown Show's basketball analyst. Coach, one more thing.
Carlos, can I need to pause for 1 minute, because last week I was very absent-minded. We got to talking about Coach Chaney and his death, and I left out one of the giants of HBCU basketball. We lost Coach Jerry Johnson, who was the head coach at, I know some of you are not going to know him, but some will. Mm-hmm. He was the head coach at Lemoyne-Owen up in Memphis. This man coached at Lemoyne-Owen for 46 seasons.
Wow.
He was the Robinson of basketball. 46 seasons at one school, 821 wins. He was the first African-American coach to win an NCAA national championship. He won a Division 3 titles back in 1975. He retired in 2005. He passed Sunday before last. And I should have been mentioning it last week, and I got caught up with Coach Chaney. And I guess because all the publicity about Coach Chaney, he was overshadowed. I even called the NABC, the National Basketball Coaches Association, to say, hey, did I miss it? But I did not see anything on Coach Johnson. So they didn't know about it. So they got a big thing coming out for Coach Johnson also. And then one of the things that happened that I was glad he was able to see before he passed, they did a movie on his team, that's 1975 team. And I had an opportunity to they came down and interviewed me for that. But unfortunately, I didn't make the final cut for the movie. It was only because the cameraman messed up. So my footage, all the footage they did on me, you could not use it. That's the only reason why I was left out. They called me and told me. And it's called the First Forgotten Champion. And that's a movie that First Forgotten Champion. Yep, that movie came out this spring. And Coach Johnson, I knew him personally because he's in the SIAC now. You talking about 46 seasons in the SIAC. That's what this man did, and he was a great coach and greater person. And he did it the right way. Stayed at one school for his entire career, and he got his angel wings at 102.
Say his name again. I'm making a note of this.
Jerry Johnson.
Okay.
Jerry Johnson, head coach at Lamont Owens in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay. I got it. Okay. Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. That is noteworthy to do that. And actually, also, now that I'm thinking about it, Dr. Prince, we do have the about 3 minutes. Maybe we can squeeze it in before the show's out with Coach John Chaney and his
You want me to play it now? I got it queued up. You want me to play it now?
You mind, Coach Pettaway?
Oh, no, not at all.
And then when we come back, I'll close it out, and I'll ask you about the news from the Southwest Athletic Conference about the championship tournament. Okay. But yeah, here's John Chaney at the acceptance of the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Filled with a lot of humility, and I think the emotions for the last couple of days have just gone from one high to a low. And then I can't help but feel somewhat apologetic because I was embarrassed, really embarrassed, and I want to apologize to the committee. You know, about a few years back, we were asked to make contributions to the building, to the new building. And I had pledged X amount of dollars, certainly not as much as Mike. Can't afford that kind of money coming from Temple. But I had pledged a significant amount of money, and I'd paid it all out in a couple of years. And I was coming out of the shower about 10 o'clock in the morning, and the phone rang, and I picked the phone up, and somebody said, "This is the Hall of Fame committee." I said, "I don't give a damn who you are. You're not getting any more money." So I want to apologize. But after getting this ring, I'm going to, I certainly will make some more donations. You know, when I talk about humility, I can remember coming out of my house and getting into my car. I have a very small house in a row home. I've been there all my life. although my wife would like to see me get out. My neighbors would not like to see me leave. But a bus had been rerouted in terms of getting, because they had some kind of construction work going, and the bus was rerouted and coming down my street, filled with people. And I run out of my house to get in my car, and the bus stops. And the bus driver gets off the bus and says to me, "Aren't you John Chaney?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I thought you'd be living in a mansion." The people on the bus said, "Damn, John Chaney, we're going to be late for work. Get your ass on the bus." Now, if that don't tell you what kind of person you are, nothing will. Talking about humility. Another time, I have a small house, but I have a satellite on top of my house, bigger than my house. My wife likes to look at soap operas from all over the world, repeats. And I want to see basketball games. And my son and I got to work, and we went up with the workers, climbed up on the roof, and we were working. We put the satellite up and got it all up. And once it was done, everybody went down. They had to call the fire department to get my ass down. Humility. If you're not down to earth then, you know, knowing that something like this happens to you, and you just work all your life, but you never ever think about accolades or think about receiving awards or anything else.
That was part of his speech.
Great man, great man.
John Chaney. That he's talking about humility. And although he was an icon in the basketball world, to him it was, I'm just a basketball coach.
Yep.
Very, very good. Thank you, Dr. Prince. Well, get your final thoughts on, in hour number one, I talked about Dr. McClellan and the adjustments that will be made to the Southwestern Athletic Conference tournament. Basically, in a nutshell, all of the games will be in Birmingham. Previous years, past, quarterfinals were hosted by the higher seeds. Now, they're not going to do that because of the pandemic and being in a centralized location. Get your thoughts on that. Right way to go?
I think it was a great move by the conference, because now when you talk about looking out for the kids, that's the way to do it. Put everybody in the same spot. They didn't need to be going to different arenas and then have to come to Birmingham. Mm-hmm. It's safer for everybody to be in one spot, so I applaud them.
Yeah, and all the games will be on ESPN3, and then on the men's side, the championship game will be broadcast live on ESPNU. Don't forget Southern and Grambling State and Southern and Jackson State on the men's side, ESPNU, Saturday and Monday for those games, and for the tournament, SWAC tournament games, March 10th, March 11th, March 10th through the 13th. How about that?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Championship, women's championship game on ESPN3, men's championship game on ESPNU. Dates March 10th through the 13th. Any closing comments, Coach Pettaway?
Well, I'm looking forward to the games today, and I'll close out by asking everybody to support the school financially. This is the year that everybody's going to need your finances. And thank you guys for today, and everybody be safe, and God bless.
Yeah. God bless. Continue to be safe, Coach. And it's always a pleasure to talk with you. And you wear multiple hats: referee, basketball analyst. Although you didn't have to be a. Wait a minute, what was that?
PV all the way. PV all the way.
I thought that's what I heard, but I wasn't sure. and because I'm somewhat happy, because what, Coach Penaway? Bossier City, Louisiana native. Oh, great people, great minds. Take care, Coach Penaway.
Okay, take care, guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.
We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. Boy, last week I was listening to the game via the TuneIn app, and boy, Charles sounded very disappointed at the end of the game. We'll see if he's all right. I'm sure he's better. They've got a tough assignment as well, Jackson State and then Grambling State, and then we'll get his thoughts on Alcorn State opting out of the 2021 spring football season. Not official yet, and I say yet, but I should say not official. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show.
You're listening to the Open Mic Broadcast Network located in Prairie View, Texas for news, sports, information, and inspiration 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the next 7 years of bigger and bigger enrollments, America's grade schools will need nearly 250,000 extra teachers besides those to fill normal vacancies. This great need, plus the growing public interest in education and improvements in schools, make elementary school teaching a more rewarding career than ever, a career that high school and college students should certainly consider. Education holds America's future, perhaps your future.
Drivers and bicyclists both have the right to be on the road and travel safely. And when we're on the road together, safety is a shared responsibility. State law requires drivers to maintain at least 3 feet of clearance when passing bicyclists. And bicyclists should always ride with the direction of traffic and follow all traffic signals. It's safer. It's courteous. It's the law. A message from the Regional Planning Commission Pedestrian and Bicycle Program.
The station designed with you in mind. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas. It's the Open Mic Tele-Network line. Dial 720-721-1558, and instantly at your fingertips, you'll have the latest local news, weather, and sports. Need a word of encouragement? Dial 720-721-1558. The Open Mic Tele-Network line features weekly prayer, verse of the week, and local ministries at your fingertips. Everything you need on demand. Dial 720-721-1558. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No internet, no problem. No Wi-Fi, no problem. No app, no problem. All you need to do is dial 720-721-1558 to listen now.
Broadcasters come into our lives on radio and TV, bringing us information and entertainment. Broadcasters are there for us, but who is there for them when they fall on hard times? The Broadcasters Foundation of America provides financial assistance to broadcasters in acute need due to a critical illness, accident, or other serious misfortune. If you know of a broadcaster on the air or behind the scenes who may need our help, please share our message. Visit broadcastersfoundation.org.
The voice of student athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Last guest of today's show on the guest menu, Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. Charles, good morning to you. How you doing?
Good morning. A little rain and drizzle here in southwest Mississippi.
Well, yeah, it's kind of the same here. in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You know that means red stick in French?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Baton Rouge sounds better than Red Stick, Louisiana. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Interesting city, Baton Rouge. Not a big city, not a small city.
I love it, though. I love it. I absolutely love coming to Baton Rouge. You know, when the baseball tournament was there, it's one of the better cities in the country in terms of sports, Southern, LSU, all that. I love Baton Rouge. I'll be there in a couple of weeks when we play down there, when we play Southern.
Well, speaking of that, I was listening to the Alcorn State Radio Network via TuneIn app, and, boy, you sounded disappointed after that game with Southern, and I shared this in hour number one. Charles, I didn't know how this Southern's men's basketball team was going to react after that just a heartbreaking loss. But I did remember listening to the pregame show on your network, and you basically said that you think it's going to be a Southern University men's basketball team that's going to come in angry, and Coach agreed, and it was Southern led from beginning to end, 76-59, and on the women's side, much closer game, 57-51. Reflect back on last weekend.
Well, you said I sounded disappointed, but that's putting it mildly, Carlos. As the game unfolded, I went from being disappointed to disgusted because it just didn't. It was really bad, just in terms of just not coming out and knowing Landon Bussey how intense and how focused he is, and just not even as I was telling him a while ago. Southern came out from the door. They came in this building from the door ready to go, and we weren't. And we're down by as many as 35. We made it respectable at the end. Coach Bussey was happy about the end product in terms of how the team played at the end, but we didn't come out ready to go. And to be quite honest, and he admitted this, the last couple of days of practice leading to the end of the Southern game was not very good. They ended practice early because the coaches were so disgusted in terms of the lack of focus. And I mean, he's blunt. Using your phrase, Carlos, he's brutally honest, and I love it. And I think we all should love it because you want to get an idea of where this team is at all times. And he gives you an idea of where his team is at all times. And so it was not a good last 2 days of practice leading into the Southern game, and it showed in the game. So that's, Southern came out, they hit shots, and I said it, I texted to you. If Southern plays this way, the rest of the way, they're going to be a hard team to beat. I think Prairie View clearly is the class of the conference.
Yeah.
I do think Southern University can beat any team in this league if they play the way they played last week. Shooting threes. I mean, look like the Southern of old. They got the bigs that can get it done. They can match up any way you want. And, of course, we had a lot to do with that by not coming out. But the way Southern played, they're going to be a tough cookie, come tournament times.
Well, I guess maybe history will show if it becomes a productive season and ends in a championship for Southern, maybe that horrible moment would be the tail of the season at Alabama State, which is a game that Southern should have won, up by 15 and getting a split on the road, which you want to do. And but we'll have to see. We'll have to see if that happens. Still got a ways to go as far as the season. Then on the women's side, as usual, it's always a tough game when Southern comes to Alcorn on the women's side.
Yeah, it was chess versus checkers. For those who can play chess and checkers is a pretty quick game. You can move the pieces around fairly quickly. Chess is a little more thought-provoking. It's a slow-down type of thing. So Southern wants to play chess. The Lady Braves want to play checkers. And the Lady Braves, early on, it was a checker type of game. Fast-paced, up-tempo. They got what they wanted. But then down the stretch, only 5 points in the fourth quarter, and Southern hit two big threes down the stretch, one up against the shot clock that just took the life out of us. And for the Lady Braves, it's a risk-reward thing because they play so hard, especially on the defensive end, and causing you to turn it over. They use a lot of energy. And Southern did a nice job of protecting the basketball. Yeah, they had 16 turnovers, but the Lady Braves are used to turning you over 20, 25 times a game. So Southern did a nice job of protecting the basketball, and they hit a couple of big shots down the stretch, and I think we just ran out of gas because we used so much energy, and down the stretch we just couldn't get anything done. Now, Nate Kilbert was happy about the effort. We had good looks, just couldn't knock them down. So he obviously disappointed in the loss, but he feels really good about his team going forward. And, we got a challenge today dealing with Amisha Williams and this tall Jackson State team that's going to play a ton of people, and we got to match up with them.
Yeah, exactly. And on the men's side, such a disappointing loss, not coming out focus and energy, could that loss be turned into something positive for Alcorn State men? Will they come out focused? Will they come out with more energy against their arch rival, Jackson State on the men's side? Charles, can we look for maybe a much better effort and maybe possibly an upset?
It would not be surprising. I mean, what we're seeing so far in this conference, I think Alcorn is in the role of Southern. Go back 7 days. Southern, an angry team, pissed off the way they lost to Bama State. We're in that same boat today. An angry team, pissed off, losing to Southern at home, trailing by as many as 35. So we're in the same boat Southern was in last week. Now, can we respond? Southern did last week. Can we respond against our number one rivals? And Coach Butts talked about it. Just was talking with him. He understands the rivalry. He understands what it's all about. He does know it's another game, but he also understands this is the Alcorn JSU rivalry. And we need this win, Carlos, just in terms of our confidence. The schedule flips. We'll have more road games than home games. Tough to win on the road in this league, as we've seen. So we need this one for our psyche, probably more so than anything, just to get back on the right track and just feel good about ourselves, because Grambling is not going to feel sorry for us either when they roll in here on Monday.
Yeah. And by the way, Donald says Grambling State by 7 today on ESPNU. I'm thinking he's thinking about the men's game. Donald, give me a prediction on the women's side. And speaking of pissed off mentality, of course, I'm going now to Alcorn State opting out of spring football 2021. Nothing official yet, but of course, it's been all over social media, footballscoop.com, where I first read about it, and just knowing some things internally on Alcorn State. What is the mindset, if you can speak on it? What is the mindset on campus?
It's just kind of a wait and see right now. I mean, I think that, I saw Chris Blair. He was here in the gym, Felix Harper. I talked to those two a little bit, and they're just trying to stay loose and stay as football ready as they possibly can. And, from my perspective, nothing is official, and that's the way I'm looking at it. And until it is official, it's not official. I know I read the Football Scoop article. My phone's been blowing up for 3 days. People are, been stopping me in the street like, what are we doing or what are we not doing? Like, hey, I'm in the same boat you're in. I'm in a wait and see mode. And, for me, Carlos, I'm kind of different than you or Dr. Prince or Dr. Cavill or Ken Rashad. You guys are kind of on the outside looking in terms of just the medium and the platform you have. I'm on the inside looking out. So I'm on the inside of this thing. And so I do know that until it's official, we have to kind of wait and see, and to see how this thing goes. The season starts 3 weeks and an hour from now. We open up with A&M. It's probably be a 1 o'clock game. So it's one of those, and even A&M's schedule hasn't been released yet. So that just shows you where things are. But as of right now, I just think everyone's in a wait and see mode. And even the commissioner has chimed in on it because he works for the president. And until we get the word, until he gets the word, till the conference gets the word from our president's office, our media relations office, nothing is official. So we're kind of in a holding pattern right now. I understand that's frustrating for everybody involved, for fans and fans of Alcorn, fans of the SWAC, just to see what's going to happen. And all we can do is wait and see. I'm sure that there are discussions that are being held internally to see what's what. And as soon as that happens, as soon as they know, we'll know. And then we can kind of react from there. Because we're in a reactionary business. We react on what's being said and done or not said. So right now, there's nothing to say or nothing to do because nothing has been released. And we'll just see how it all shakes out. But I don't know anything. I don't have any inside knowledge. And I'm just going to wait and see what the university decides, which way it goes, and I'll just react from there.
So I can't ask you what your gut feeling is on that. You're not able to answer that. If
no,
I ask you for a gut feeling,
no,
it's going to go.
I'd rather not go there on that. I just rather stay away from that because it does incite a lot of energy, a lot of other stuff. So I just rather being on the inside, looking out. I'd rather just stay away from that and just react to what the university is going to do.
I understand, but I had to ask the question, and just my comment is I just think at this late time of the preseason, fall camp, to think that you're ready, it could do more harm than good if you're not prepared and ready to participate in spring football. So that's why I said it wasn't official. The physical shape, the mental shape of this Alcorn State football team, players, from my understanding, have voiced their concerns and opinion on the 2020 spring football season. So, with that being said, we'll wait for the official announcement, one way or the other. It's going to either be a yes or a no. It can't be an in-between.
Right.
And I just have my opinion on that.
And I will say this in terms of other programs, and I know coaches are getting ready. I mean, this was going to be the big game. I think one of the biggest – I can't think of a week one SWAC game in the history of this league, other than maybe Alcorn and Grambling back in the day when it was Eddie Robinson versus Marino Castle, the Independence Classic in Shreveport. I couldn't have thought of a week one SWAC football game that had so much meaning as Alcorn and Alabama A&M. This was going to be probably the biggest early season SWAC game we've had in a long time. Because whoever loses that game is in trouble. Whoever wins that game is in the driver's seat in the division, in my opinion. But I think every coach in this conference has a lot of anxiety because no one is in football. And as you just talked about it, there's a difference between being in condition and being in football condition. No one is in football condition right now because you barely have put on the pads. You just kind of read what other teams are doing or not doing. It's a challenge to try to accelerate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's like the old saying: if I'm not 100% in, then I'm not in. 99.5 just won't do. Well, actually, in this case, 99.5 probably would be sufficient. But I understand. So we'll wait for the official announcement. Oh, I think we just lost Charles. Okay, we'll bring Charles back up. I've got 11:57. Got about 3 minutes left here.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what happened right there, but I think every coach has a level of anxiety, and I think that's the level of concern for every program. And I've read all the posts. Some people think that we're chickening out and all that. No, that's not the case. I think Fred McNair is just expressing, how he feels about protecting these kids, and I think that's the other story. Fred McNair loves his kids, loves the university, loves the program. He's going to do nothing to put anybody in jeopardy or harm's way. You have to respect that. And how the way it goes, it's going to go. But that's just how he feels about it, being around him. And I think that's just, that we just have to kind of ride with that and let the powers that be make the decisions.
Yeah, and that is ultimately what's going to happen. It's going to be a decision made. And that decision will be yay or nay for 2021, the spring. And from a personal standpoint, whether it's the spring or the fall, I want to see those two teams collide again. I have not forgotten, Charles, It doesn't matter. It could be checkers, tiddlywinks, badminton, ping pong. It doesn't matter. I want a Southern victory. And I'll have the person tell Odoms about that. Not that he doesn't know, but no excuses. That's going to be the name of the tour. 2021. No excuses. Southern University football. That's what I'm saying right off the bat. Spring, no excuses with a question mark.
Yeah, you all had a nice signing class. I agree. I think you all will be loaded and ready to go. I agree with you.
Yeah, and now we just got to, and I don't like to say we, but Southern has to find great quarterback play. Ball security, manage the game, utilize the weapons around you. We'll save that for another time, Charles. Take care. Appreciate it. Have a great broadcast. We'll talk next week.
All right, appreciate it. Stay safe.
All right, stay safe. Well, I want to thank Coach Robert Valdez, Coach Van Pettaway, and Charles Edmond in the guest menu. Don't forget, donations are always accepted here on Team Carlos Brown. Cash App, the Carlos Brown Show. I also want to thank Dr. Michael Prince producing today's show and each and every one who interacted with me and listening in. Quickly, Dr. Prince, who you have for Sunday night?
Well, I'm going to have Coach Byron Smith of the Prairie View A&M University Panthers and Willie Simmons of FAMU.
Oh, yeah, Willie Simmons. Staying at FAMU. I knew it. I called it. Well, tell Coach Smith, someone from Louisiana says, continue the good work, and we'll see you down the line.
I definitely will, sir.
All righty. Until next Saturday at 10 a.m., everyone continue to be safe and be blessed for the Carlos Brown Show at 10 a.m. to 12 noon right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Until next time, as always, peace and God bless.